Hi everybody, I'm here in my thinking room and man, I sure do tolerate Christmas. It's the time when we do cozy stuff and we usually all get free stuff, which I'm not one to complain about, but geez Louise, if my middle name isn't Bah Humbug. It used to be Morrison. Let me tell you all a story. Every year since 2012, I was a sucker for Christmas every time it rolled around. The year before, my family and I watched the hit film Arthur Christmas as a rental. I like Arthur Christmas. It's a personal favorite of mine, and I hope that's still the case because last time I watched it was a decade ago. But anyway, on that day, the entire Choop family was sat down on the couch, and we were about to watch a Christmas movie. So, little Choop, remembering how fun Arthur Christmas was in 2011, went, "Mother, Father, sibling, may we henceforth watch Arthur Christmas annually as a Christmas tradition?" And after about 3 minutes of them all yelling at me for asking that question, I knew I was not the favorite child. After that, they put on Point Break, starring Keanu Reeves, and that's a fine film and all, but like, that's not a Christmas movie, that's stupid, that's quite literally the opposite of a winter movie. It takes place on sandy beaches and a hot desert. You quite literally could not be further from Home Alone and Jingle All the Way. I mean, what do I say? I want to enjoy Christmas, but I got nobody who wants to enjoy it with me. Year after year after year, I go to different people, and they all say stuff like, "Oh, you're stupid and lame. Why do you want to get a group of at minimum 4 people to watch an early 2010s movie?" Or, "Get on with the goddamn video, Choopo." So everybody knows what a Santa is. That needs no explanation. One night a year, this typically moderately obese freak gets into everybody's homes and commits a reverse robbery by giving people stuff they want. Simple enough. The complexity of today's discussion comes from what people do with that. Christmas as a whole has become an entire subgenre of modern culture. Most of the world celebrates it, and everyone is aware of its existence, including people who make movies and TV shows. So that is where I'm coming from today. Today I want to look at some Santas I can recall, look and see how they function, see what makes them so special. I handpicked a few Santas I want to look at, and who knows, maybe if there's enough demand, I can make this a series and do another discussion like this one next year, assuming I'm gonna be alive next year, but honestly, who knows? Unless they're from next year, I guess. In my mind, there's like a Santa spectrum of Santa qualities, stuff like how effective they are as a Santa, and how much they derive from the simple Santa formula. I gave it a rank system. 1 out of 10 means they suck ass as a Santa, and 10 means that they're pretty good, and a top-of-the-line one. To get an idea of how I rank this, let's take a real quick look at the Saint Nick monk. This is where Santa as a concept grew from. He helped out the less fortunate, traveled throughout the land to assist those in need, used his wealth for good, and overall created the idea of Christmas. I would give that like a 7. It's the blueprint Santa that would eventually lead to the big red guy. It's by far the most important Santa, but to an extent this one is kind of lamer as a result. But then that one Santa in the M&M's commercial, he's like a 3. We don't see him much, but the fact he faints and spends so much time at one house is a massive no-no. He should know about the M&M's being alive because he checks the goddamn list twice. Speaking of which, speed is a huge variable in being a good Santa. People smarter than me calculated that Santa would have to spend the entire Christmas night going over 1,300 miles per hour in order to get to every house that celebrates Christmas. I remember this one shitty Nickelodeon cartoon movie actually doing this with their Santa and making him like the Santa Flash, but otherwise it will be a massive plot hole to whatever Santa you create, or there's gotta be workarounds. Best example, sharing this god tier movie once again, Arthur Christmas. Going from my memory, because again, my loved ones are suffering from a holiday cheer famine, this is a semi-realistic approach that I think is pretty good. In this iteration, Santa is a title that has been passed down throughout the centuries. We're currently on the 20th century, but we meet the 19th one and find out who becomes the 21st one at the end. So this is a triple whammy of Santas. So what happens in this Christmas hustle is that the North Pole almost acts as a country in secret. There's at minimum a several 100,000 elves in this population who work in a unified military every year in order to deliver the presents. They have what I would assume is numerous delivery ships that go from town to deliver everything at high efficiency. They have the entire thing set up to assist them with rappers and mission control, and the field elves who experience casualties because there is death on Christmas night. The 20th Claus, Malcolm Claus, technically leads the operation, but I'm gonna be real, he's being hard carried by everything else around him. It sucks, but it's the truth. If he was by himself, he would be a 4, maybe even down to a 2, but with the entire country behind him, it would be a 9 because the elf military is still flawed, and the rest of the movie happens because they missed a single present. So then there's Santa 19, Grand Santa. This dude was World War II Santa. When he was the Santa, he still had reindeer being used and flew across the World War II battlefields half drunk, evading both the Allied and Axis powers that both registered him as an unidentified object and needed to shoot him down. 9 out of 10. He makes his son look like a loser. And of course, Arthur, he gets declared as the next Santa at the end of the movie, but even throughout it, he's already great. I'm gonna give him our first 10 out of 10. Just overall a nice little optimistic guy full of jolly, joyous times, traveled all across the world to deliver a single present, easy sweep. But moving along, let's look at a Santa I'd consider a victim, Tim Allen. Before he becomes Santa, his life is just falling apart. No other way to put it. Divorced, Christmas Eve at Denny's, damn that bites. When the current Santa shows up on his rooftop, he yells and somehow that kills this Santa instantly. 2 out of 10 Santa. How do you die? Your job is to go on the roof. So Tim Allen then puts on the suit, and it's straight up just a parasite. Wearing this suit declares him as the 21st Santa, which, no, you're wrong. We were just over this. And after he takes his son on a Santa adventure, the kid's straight up just obsessed with Santa for the rest of the year. This is how Tim Allen loses custody of his son. Then also, his hair whites out within days, and his metabolism straight up stops. His life has been entirely ruined by this burden. Then the suit basically infects his brain with Christmas gunk, and he becomes full of happy and good vibes, so he's okay with this now, but it wasn't voluntary. The second and third movies just make me feel more uncomfortable for this dude. After 8 years of being Santa, he's told he's gotta find a Miss Claus wife and get his son off the naughty list within like a month, or else he can't be Santa anymore, so okay, great, he's gotta do that. And the third movie, Jack Frost is a dick biscuit and trying to replace Tim Allen, and he accidentally lets Jack Frost become Santa for a while, so then they do that. Also, the Disney Plus show sucks, so does these posters. They look marvelous. I'll give this Santa a 5 out of 10, mainly because he's a victim of the system who can't make up his mind about leaving or embracing the Santa curse. Like the holiday guardians in this movie don't help him out at all. They realize how bad it is, but they don't do anything about it. And speaking of which, so the Santa in Rise of the Guardians is an interesting guy. I'm gonna be quick on this one, but from what I've seen, a lot of people think this Santa specifically is hot, which will be deducting some points. You should never be horny because of something like this. I think the Yetis are pretty effective as laborers, a better alternative to the elves. Why do they look like that? I think he's legitimately cool at points, and definitely a threat, but to be fair, the guy he's going against looks like that. He's standing like he just pissed himself. Ultimately, as a Santa, 7 out of 10, because he gets the job done, great with kids, but I think he's a bit lacking in that hug factor. He's a little too intense. Kids are gonna get intimidated when meeting him the first time. He looks more like a biker than a holiday icon. I watched this movie one time, it was pretty nifty. Personally, I prefer Rise of the Brave Tangled Dragons. Now, Marvel has a few Santas in their world, and there's 3 I want to take a note of. Ultron Santa is a robot Santa programmed to do Santa stuff. If that were the case, it would be a basic Santa, like a 5 to 7. The problem is that it's Ultron, and for all my average people in the audience who don't care and your favorite color is blue and your favorite food is pizza because you're that basic and you don't know who Ultron is, Ultron units are just evil robots that don't want much else other than human extinction, specifically with the Avengers. So this Ultron Santa tries to fight the Avengers and dies. Overall, pretty flawed Robo Santa. I'm gonna give it a 1.99999 out of 10. Regular Santa is a mutant, actually one of the strongest mutants in the Marvel Comics universe. Santa runs his activities like a corporation. I think probably lots of Marvel stuff happens, Santa gets around, and Santa gets put in a lot of bad spots a lot of the time. Easiest example, his reindeer get revealed to be Skrulls. Skrulls pretend to be other people, so yeah, they're not very good. And because the reindeer machine is broken, Santa then goes to the Illuminati, and then they all give him the Infinity Stones. So for about 15 minutes, he becomes a less corrupt Thanos. This Santa feels like he would be fine, it's just that the Marvel antics make him look bad. 5 out of 10. And then we got Mjolnir. This guy has a light elf mom and a frost giant dad. He's the strongest in Marvel's 9 realms and chooses to be the Santa of all realms, even though he could easily take everything over. 10 out of 10, he's dedicated to the craft, and you gotta appreciate that. If there's ever a Marvel vs. Capcom 4, I expect him to be there. Most of the Santas I've discussed so far, and just in general, are pretty good in regards to morals, but making an evil Santa has totally been attempted before, and a couple of them I think are worth noting today. Now, Krampus isn't technically a Santa, but if you rearrange the letters in Krampus, you get Simpruk, and that's close enough to a technicality that I need. Krampus likes to eat bad children. If a child is bad and they provoke Krampus, oh, well, oh me oh my, they are in fact in for a bad time. Best example, in the 2015 movie, this kid Max is being kind of a dick. The outcome of this is that Krampus and his little goons capture each family member one by one in this freaky little hellhole adventure. At the end, Max learns that the true meaning of Christmas was family after having them all taken away, and Krampus rewards him by throwing the kid into hell. And then, like, actually letting them enjoy Christmas. But now they're in a snow globe, so either they're being watched from the snow globe or they're stuck in it. However you want to look at it, something about snow globes and hell, and that's probably bad. Terrifying premise, freaky goat man eats children, that's a no-no. I'm gonna give Krampus a -7 out of 10, because his results are effective, just that the journey to those results are definitely questionable. He's doing the opposite of what Santa does. He's pretty good at it, though. Going back to actual Santas, I want to take a look at Santa's sleigh. Now, this Santa is a demon, and he's a pretty bad dude until this nice angel man kicks his ass in a curling 1v1, and now his punishment is to be a traditional Santa for 1,000 years. The movie takes place right when the 1,000 years are done, so now he's going around and killing peeps. That's bad. And now he's drowning people in eggnog and blowing kids' heads up, all the average Santa stuff that's really the main premise of the rest of this movie. Bad Santa. A while in, after shooting the iconic Santa Claus fireball at the main kids, the angel, who's also the main character's grandpa and banished Santa to 1,000 years of being Santa, challenges him to another curling game in the high school hockey rink and almost traps him in hell forever. I skipped a lot, but just go with it, dude. Lots of Santas in hell. Supposedly, he loses all of his powers post-Christmas, so at the end, he's just like this immortal dude who's only super powerful on Christmas. I'm gonna give him a 5 out of 10 if we're looking at the 1,000-year curse, but this entire movie just proves he is a straight-up awful dude. Loves killing people. 1 out of 10 Santa. It's just all the Santa stuff, but evil, so the entire incentive's gone. That's just a lame one. At least Krampus was cool about it. Oh my god, you suck. Wow, that was one downer of a Santa to end on. So before I wrap this little adventure up, there's one more funny guy I want to talk about, because when else am I going to be able to talk about this movie ever again? That movie I want to talk about is Klaus. It is a very special holiday movie in my mind. This is an animated and fictional retelling how the concepts of Santa came into fruition and became an icon of today. I'm about to majorly spoil a lot of this movie, so skip to here if you don't want to have it ruined for you. It's genuinely a great holiday movie. So, for context, in 19th century Norway, this guy Jasper is being a lazybones when he's supposed to learn the art of being a postman because he's already rich as ravioli, and as punishment, he gets banished to this sad wreck of a town in Smearensburg, and now he's gotta post 6,000 letters or else he's gonna get disowned by the family. One problem though, this town frickin' sucks. Everybody's sad, the Ellingbows and Crumbs are like these giant clans who hate each other and make everything miserable, but while looking for people to post letters to, he finds this isolated house on the other end of this small island, and this is where we run into Klaus, who at this point is just a craftsman who has a soft spot for making kids happy, so the two go and drop off this present for a sad kid. This is where the Santa stuff begins to show up, like truly Santa-y Santa stuff. Things like him showing up at night, the ever-iconic laugh, and especially the naughty or nice list. So all the kids in town, upon hearing about it, start helping in fixing up the town. Just the entire concept of Christmas butterflies into everything being better and everyone being happier, except for the elders. They reek of rancid uncoolness, trying to ruin Christmas. They aren't joyous, they lack holiday cheer. Get them out of here! But Klaus is an interesting character. Basically, everyone in this movie is like a foil for Jasper becoming a better person, which is mutual. Everyone's happier with themselves by the end, and this really does include Klaus. He's a real tragic guy. He and his wife wanted to have a big family, so they started woodworking and making toys so they would all have an even happier time together, but they just couldn't have kids. No kids, no luck, and then his wife gets really sick, so now he's just living alone and making birdhouses because his wife liked birdhouses, and, is this what empathy feels like? But the movie ends with everyone continuing to live their best lives, and the years keep going, everyone cares about each other, but one day while chopping wood, Klaus hears the wind and he just decides then and there it's his time to go see his wife. So he does, and within a few seconds, he's gone. But somehow, even beyond this, he still shows up every Christmas night with the power of good old Christmas magic. And I think this movie kind of gave me the best explanation of what a 10 out of 10 Santa is. Because yeah, obviously this is a 10 out of 10 Santa. What makes a Santa so special is the authenticity. With a lot of these Santas being supernatural or exclusively happy, I think they're the most effective when they're genuine. And by that I mean, a Santa is most effective when they connect to us at an emotional level. They naturally have this energy that makes people feel good and reiterate the emotions behind the holidays. When I think about Christmas, I think about the good times and emotions that come from it. There's a lot of special feelings that can derive from it. I'm not too good at explaining what they are, but you can feel it. And these three specifically have clear incentives behind why they do what they do. Well, maybe not Jalnir as much. We don't get that much time with him. But even then, based on the time we spend with them, they are good people and by proxy good Santas because they clearly love what they do, but they still have that complexity. I lied earlier. I like Christmas. It's straight up my favorite time of year, especially the week after because everyone feels like they're in limbo. In fact, I'm one of those people who celebrate a little before Thanksgiving, but after Halloween because I have standards and preferences. That's why I handpick Santas. I don't just pick some. I pick the best of the best and worst of the worst sometimes. I guess Tim Allen was just okay. I want to do this again next year. This was really fun to do. It just seems like not everyone has standards because it seems like I'm gonna be missing out on Arthur Christmas again just because nobody wants to watch it with me.
Hey, what's crackin', compadre?
Santa traveling at exactly 1,367 miles per second, who also has a skateboard to better diversify our Santa to other versions. What are you doing here?
Somehow you got on the nice list again. I heard you wanted at least a group of 4 people to watch Arthur Christmas with, so I brought this elf with me. His name's Shelby.
Hey.
Don't interrupt me. Anyways, let's get this busying. And so, Choopo, Santa, an elf named Shelby, and the ever-iconic Bobo the Baboon all sat down and watched Arthur Christmas. It was the best night a week before the actual holiday Choopo ever had in his life. And to all watching this wonderful tale, stay safe, stay good, and remember to recycle as much as you can.